Hello again, Dick Powell, Leadership Wrangler, here at Winning with the Wrangler. Now, I want to just say a couple things. First of all, leaders, we gather information from many different places and many different people. So if you hear yourself in our conversation today, please remember, it is not all about you. Now, I know that there's going to be a time when you're going to want to invite me to have a public appearance in your world, to either come and do a seminar, speaking engagement, keynote, or just really come and help your folks learn some leadership and accountability sense. To do that, just give me a call, 727-422-1833, or send me an email, dick@ewfw.org. Now, this morning, I'm going to jump into something that, well, I believe is taking over in our world. So today's title is Bullies Are Not Just on the Playground. This has become such a topic for me that I seem to be spending time both in my secular world and my church world speaking about it. Because it seems to become a habit. And I've done it myself. I didn't really realize it at the time, but because I didn't think about it, it has become so normal to speak to people in a manner that is belittling and can hurt without our even knowledge. So, bullies are not just on the playground. So who are they? Well, let me step through this. You're going to find that we are all, each and every one of us, including myself, a victim as well as a perpetrator. I know that's not easy to take down, but it's the truth. Let me tell you something. A man at a gathering just recently surprised me when he said, "I need to talk to you." And he continued in a stern and fatherly voice. So I should remind you that, well, I'm in my mid to late 60s, and his voice was that of a condescending tone of an authority person might use when they are getting ready to chastise you. You probably remember when your school principal brought you in, or someone like that, or maybe someone in the office that was your supervisor or manager. I answered, "Sure. Hey, I'll talk to you. Anybody who knows me very well knows I'll talk to anybody." So I said, "What seems to be the situation?" And he went on in it was almost maniacal. I couldn't believe the attitude that he put forth here. But he went on to say, 3 days ago at a meeting, I didn't like the way you spoke and butted in to our conversation. Well, I had to tell you, I had to do my research in my memory to kind of recall what had happened 3 days prior, and I had really forgotten about the incident altogether. I had talked to the person that had been involved, and then they kind of had forgotten about it and moved on, and I kind of forgotten about it and moved on, but this person, 3 days, had really steamed him up and ready to go. When the fog cleared out of my mind, I remembered this individual bullying a person into what he thought and what he thought should be done. And he had done it in a manner just like he had approached me. Got up close, got verbal, got loud, and it was so intimidating that you didn't know what to do. Well, the only answer I could give him is that, hey, I spoke up because you were bullying this person and someone needed to stop it. It needed to be stopped. But can you imagine, and now 3 days later he was going to confront me? I had moved on. The person that this happened to had moved on, but this person had still created this anger. And that's the danger zone with this bullying situation. Now, I have to tell you that my past, I worked on the line crew. And when someone did something like this, probably my past, I was a little bit more aggressive. I was probably younger, and I probably would have knocked him on his keister. But I've grown up and I've learned a thing or two about how to handle bullies. And the thing is what I've learned is that almost every time, if you stand up to a bully, you don't have to be physical, just stand up to them, they'll usually deflate. Now, I stood tall as I could and said these words: I will not be bullied, and I will not stand by and watch someone else be bullied. Now, he stood there in a kind of a shocked manner, because here I was telling him that you're not going to bully me, and if I see you bullying someone else, I am going to step up. Because that's what leaders do. That's what leaders should be doing. When we see this happening, we need to step up and stop it. We need to take and dig down and find out the reasons for, but we need to stop it, and stop it in its tracks. Now, I went on to really do what I knew was the right thing to do. After stating the fact that I would not be bullied, and I would always stand by and stand up for someone else who was being bullied, I simply turned and walked away. Now, the terrible part of this happened next. This person went on a rant and rave with lots of people around listening as I walked away, and he stood there still steaming and letting it just go. No one else in that room dared encounter this person. Now, days have gone by and weeks have happened, and I've encountered this person again. And I've asked them, are you okay? You know, have you moved on? Is this still bubbling inside you that we need to talk or do something about it? He just hung his head. You see, I think he realized that he had embarrassed himself to a point where he was not going to be listened to by anyone ever again. And that's what happens when we do this, even ourselves. Now, I'm not really sure what's going to happen next, but I'm still in kind of shock that this sort of thing actually happened at my home church. It really did. And we've moved on, those of us who were in that room and witnessed it all happen. But unfortunately, this person, I believe, we're going to have to work with to help get over this and move on. That's the other part of leadership. You see, I truly believe that we, all of us, are seeing this whole way of life perpetrated through our community, and fortunately at our schools, in our boardrooms, in our workplaces, and the most unfortunate, I believe, is on the sports fields. But the list goes on and on. One of my friends brought up a thing about microaggressions. These little things that we sometimes say is that, we think are funny. But they're little barbs that other people really take to heart, and it's not funny. That's a way of bullying also. And so we need to really think about it. It's one thing when a comedian stood on stage and sent out some barbs and it was all funny. But it wasn't really directed at any one person. But when we do it and we direct those barbs at any one person, it now becomes personal and hurtful. And we need to learn from that and not do it. Period. It's not funny. It's not part of who we are or should be or could be. So, who are the bullies? I remember at the beginning of this little piece, I told you I was going to tell you who the bullies are and how to recognize them. Well, the bullies are men, women, children of all ages and stages, growth and maturity. So if you want to know what a bully looks like, I ask you to step into a room that has a mirror. Take a close look. You see, I think sometimes we say that's somebody else. But if we would listen to our own words and we would watch reactions from the people we say those words to, we might get a total different thought process of what's going on in the world. So the question is what's the solution? And I guarantee you I don't have all the answers. I really wish I did. I'm going to encourage, though, that you stand your ground and pray for guidance. You say, maybe a little of both, or maybe it starts with such an early age of people do what people see, and people repeat what people hear. Even as little people, if you've raised children, you know that you've let one word slip, and that's the one they let out everywhere because they know that you have made a mistake. And then they're not supposed to use that word, but by golly, you did, so they're going to do it too. And if you are in a dinner table or you're just in a conversation and you talk about another people, a race, a creed, a color, it just doesn't matter. When you make those barbs, those young people are hearing that and they are being influenced by that. And when they go out in the real world, guess what they do? They repeat the same things. So it's us, leaders, it's us who have to make the difference. We have a way to change bullying. We really, truly do. If you see or hear someone being bullied, I'm going to encourage you to step up. Have courage. Be safe. Read the situation and know, do we need to remove that person? Do we need to what do we need to do? But step up. I know it's not easy. I have to tell you, in my position, it is not easy. Especially because the leader steps up, people look and go, oh, did he make the right decision? And only you can make that decision, whether it's right or wrong. The second thing is do your best to diffuse the situation. Inquire. Stop it. But inquire from both sides and try to get an understanding of what's going on. Try to bring it to a peaceful resolution so that there's not a bullying situation. If someone in the boardroom is standing at the head and they're the head of the board and they're pounding on the desk telling you that's the way it's going to be, that's bullying. It is. If someone tells you that you're maybe not the smartest knife in the drawer, like, or your hair doesn't cut right, or whatever it is, that is bullying. Do your best to diffuse it. I'm going to encourage all of us leaders, all of us, to teach conflict resolution in a safe environment. Conflict resolution can be taught. It can be learned. And you know what? It can be passed down to, there at the dinner table with your young people. That's where this all starts. That's where they see it. We can't quite control the television yet, but you can. You can turn it off. It has an on and off button. When you see these things happening, maybe when your young people are in the room, talk about it. If it's in a sporting event, talk about it. Explain that on one hand that the people have the right to maybe say what they're saying, but they're intimidating and they're bullying the other person. If you're out and about and you see it happen in the courtyard of the mall, you have to make a decision. How do I handle that? How do I break that up? Could be you could just walk by and ask a question. Hey, do you know where this is at? And it could stop the whole thing immediately. I'm going to encourage that we leaders teach life skills. life skills really believe that, well, they're about working together with one another. In a moment or two, I'm going to talk about something about that. But the thing is we don't do anything alone. I didn't make this go out and raise the cotton and put it in the loom and dye it and everything else and make this denim shirt. I can guarantee you that. Now, Miss Robin probably put the embroidery on it, but you know what? Let's see if we can get the embroidery on it. But you know, I didn't do that. These are things that we have to realize that we do not do all by ourselves, and teaching the skills of how to get along with one another should come early in life. But I'm seeing, by golly, that it's sure not. And above all, leaders, above all, do not accept that bullying is just part of life. No one should ever fear going to work for being bullied. No one should ever fear going to school of being bullied. No one should ever really go to their own home of fear of being bullied, or especially go to their church in fear of being bullied. You know, where I'm at in my life, I have to tell you that this has become an important piece to share with each and every one of you. That's why I brought it today. This whole piece today was called, really, Bullies Are Not Just on the Playground. Now I'm going to step into the next piece of this because I believe it goes right along with it. And I believe that, well, I think it goes with it so well that I'm going to talk about it. One of the things that this section is going to talk about is the buddy system. You know, if we would utilize that buddy system more, I guarantee that bullying would be less. Because I'll tell you, when there's two, we're stronger. But let me give you the background here. Now, growing up in Boy Scouting, the Boy Scouting movement, the one thing that we all learned very quickly was the buddy system. That was a simple method of making sure that no one went anywhere alone. It was always hard to miss two walking along, but easy to miss one. Now, I found that in all my life's travels, the system seems to be the one most unused and misunderstood. Now, I don't understand that. You see, in business, it always pays to work with someone else. When you realize nothing great happens when done alone, you get on board with the system quickly. I agree that might be something that's new for you to think about. The misunderstanding is the Lone Ranger attitude. You know, that Lone Ranger attitude, I can do it quicker, faster, better. If I do it by myself, I won't have to share any of the credit along the way. I'll bet you have heard someone repeat those words. I'll bet maybe you have even said them yourself. Why didn't you help that person learn that? I can do it faster myself. We have all said that. And here's what I want to explain to you. That Lone Ranger attitude, that one by itself is the attitude is such a poverty mindset. Poverty mindset. Understand where I'm coming from. The better way would be to understand that by sharing and knowing that there is plenty for everyone who is willing to work together will take you farther than you've ever dreamed. I have to tell you, this simple concept of buddy system, it works. It works every single time when you put it to work. When you work with someone else sharing that knowledge of two heads are better than one. It's just really very simple. Ladies and gentlemen, leaders, this is a simple thing to really instruct and teach. That two is better than one, and when seeking a buddy, find one that fills your gaps. One who thinks and sees things a bit differently, so you can see the whole, and them also. When my wife and I talk to young couples before they get married, this is one of the things we talk about. You don't have to be exactly the same. It's good to have different ideas and concepts as long as there's some common ground where we can come back together. Or the common ground could be the ability to listen to one another and learn from one another to take and go to the total goal. You see, it's really just a simple concept. Now, I'm going to encourage, a new thought. And I'm going to double. Miss Robbins says, what does that mean, Dick? Well, it means this: double your buddy systems. 2 pairs of buddies, or sort of buddies, that's 4 people. Wow. And in those 4 people, you can, change. It's having the different knowledge gathered and working together on that simple opportunity. I admit the notion came to me as I wrote on hiking safely in the woods, because with only one pair in emergency, one would have to leave the other one alone to go get help. I want you to think about that. In the corporate world, that really comes to light, not just out in the woods. How much better would it have been the situation if one had stayed with the injured and 2 went to get help? Think about it. If something happened, we would have a problem, wouldn't we? You see, that covers the whole piece of not being just locked into doing this all by yourself. How much better would that situation have turned out if you'd had double? You see, I see the same situations in business. One person is falling down on a project and the buddy can stay and be of help. The other pair can go ahead and start the repair and find a way to achieve the original outcome desired. Leaders, if you find yourself doing it all, if you find yourself you're the only one who can do it, ask yourself the question: what message is that sending to the people around you? Here's the message it sends: I don't need you. I don't want you. You're not as smart as I am, so I'm going to do it. I was working with a pastor one time, and it was quite disturbing because he was doing everything. He was running ragged. You couldn't believe it. And when I asked him, I said, there's lots of people here to help. Well, if I ask them, I have to teach them, I have to train them. He had a lot of excuses. But his pastorate started to shrink very quickly because people felt useless. They weren't a part of it. And that's where this buddy system always seems to build the opportunity. When one set of buddies sees another set of buddies moving ahead, sometimes they get together. Now that double happens and they go faster, even quicker. They get more done. The bullying stops when the double gets involved, because now they're all working towards a common goal. Leaders, this is part of who and what we should be doing in our leadership ability. Working with individuals and doubles, guiding them on the path of working together. I truly believe if we would use this method just a little bit more, that we would have a little bit less of bullying on the playground. Now, the reason I used those words were because, when I was teaching pole climbing for an organization, And my playground was out there in the field teaching those young people how to climb those telephone poles. And I called it the playground because for me it was play. For them it was hard work. That's the difference. When I was an instructor back there, the other instructors would always stand on the ground and yell at the young people. I would climb along with them, help them, show them. That's a different leadership style, and I know that. But for me, I had almost 100% ratio of passing. Not because I ever let anybody get by with anything. If you talk to the young people that came through my class, you'll find out that I was considered a hard nut to crack. But I was the first one to be there alongside. Bullying has no place in our workforce. When we were teaching one time, we had a young lady who came through the class, and she truly wanted to be a part of this organization. In order to do that, she had to pass this telephone pole climbing test. And she just found it hard, even though she had the skills, to get to the top and do the little job that needed to be done. And I asked her, I said, what would it take for you to get up there? What incentive? And she said, well, I'd always go rescue a cat in a tree or something like that. So the next morning, I got up early, I got to work, I took a picture of a cat and I nailed it on top of the pole. And I said, there it is. Different leadership style. I didn't yell at her, I didn't scream at her, I didn't belittle her in any way. I gave her something to shoot for. That's a total difference. You see, in the other classes, she would have been belittled. They would have done their best to yell and scream at her enough to have her walk away. It was amazing. At the end of my career, all the young ladies came to my classes. They were all given to me because the upper level didn't want the ratio, but they knew that I would take care of them. I wouldn't be easy. I'd be fair. That's the difference between being a bully and being a leader. We have the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, we have the opportunity to change what's happening in our world by doing and showing. Because people do what people see and people repeat what people hear. And it's up to us, the leaders, to change this situation. From bullying to guiding. From bullying to being a part of. From bullying to be part of a double-double. From bullying to just realize that people have different thought processes. But when we put them all together, we can come up with a third solution. That's the important part. That's what we need to be doing. And we need to be doing it right now. So I'm going to encourage you, when you hear someone being belittled, stop it. When you hear someone being bullied, step up. When you diffuse a situation, teach some conflict resolution if that's what needs to happen. Teach the life skills. Above all, never accept it as part of our life that this is the way it's going to be because it's always been that way. I call bull hockey. We can change it. We, the leaders, can make a difference. And we need to. So remember, bullies are not just on the playground. And remember the whole piece about the buddy system. We can do nothing alone. Well, I see my time has come to a close like usual, and I've gotten kind of excited. Well, on behalf of myself, Dick Powell, and the whole Leadership Corner team, I want to say thank you for being a part of today's program. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate. Give me a call, 727-422-1833. Send me an email, dick@ewfw.org. My hope is that you received a nugget of wisdom and guidance that will help you become a better leader. That's what this is all about. And when you know that you're ready to take and have me come and put on a seminar or leadership opportunity at your location, again, don't hesitate. Get on that calendar as fast as you can. 727-422-1833, dick@ewfw.org. Leaders, it is up to us to make the change. So until next time, it's DW the Wrangler. Ride hard. ride fast.